Okay, MOvember, day 7, 2020. I'm going to go back to the theme of Functional Adult by Pia Mellodys out of Breaking Free. Here it is, Breaking Free and Facing Codependence. Rob Weiss in his book Codependence certainly separated Pia Mellodys from the codependence literature, but the name's still on everything. But I always think when I'm talking about codependence, we're talking about developmental trauma. She outlines 5 things we need to work on to function well, and be a functional adult and reparent ourselves. And I'm going to go over core symptom 3 now, which is a difficulty owning our own reality. So codependents often report that they don't know who they are. I believe that complaint is directly related to the difficulty of owning and being able to experience what I call one's reality. To experience ourselves, we have to be able to be aware of and acknowledge our reality. Our reality, as I am using this term, has 4 components. 1, the body, how we look and how our bodies are operating. And you know, if you look at all the interpersonal neurobiologists, Alan Shaw, Dan Siegel, all those guys, the way that what we know about the brain and that phrase there of how our bodies are operating, with the limbic system and PTSD, this was way ahead of its time. Thinking, how we give meaning to incoming data. Feelings, our emotions and behaviour, what we do or don't do. These 4 parts of our lives constitute our reality, as I am using the term. When we are experiencing our bodies, our thoughts, our emotions and our behaviour, they make up what is real from our perspective, even if they are not what others would experience in the same situation. So these things are what make each person uniquely who or she is, and are the reality of the person experiencing them. Codependents have trouble owning all or some of those components in the following ways. The body, difficulty seeing our appearance accurately and being aware of how our bodies are operating. Thinking, difficulty owning what our thoughts are, and if we know, not being able to share them. Also giving skewed interpretations to incoming data. Feelings, difficulty knowing what we are feeling or feeling overwhelming emotions. And behaviour, difficulty being aware of what we do or don't do. If we are aware, difficulty owning our behaviour and its impact on others. Not being able to own our reality is experienced at 2 levels, A and B. Level A, the less dysfunctional level, is I know what my reality is, but I will not tell. I hide it from other people for fear of being unacceptable. And level B, which is more dysfunctional, is I do not know what my reality is. Being level B is living in delusion, since there is no solid experience of what my reality actually is. I must construct or make up a personal identity and reality out of what I think I might be thinking or feeling, keep silent or not say anything, or try to mirror your feelings and thoughts about me as I can determine them. So where difficulty owning our reality comes from. Children who live in family systems where they are ignored, attacked or abandoned for their reality learn that it is not appropriate or safe to express it. They are likely to have a difficulty as adult codependents experiencing and owning their own reality. Joe remembers an incident when he was 4 or 5 years old. Crying, he went to his mother, who was standing at the sink. Even though he held onto her skirt and sobbed into it, she just kept on washing the dishes and ignored him. When Joe went crying to his father responded by slapping him, a physical attack. As an adult, it is very difficult for Joe to own or share the fact he is experiencing pain. I have a friend who told me that when she and her siblings were simply being needy and expressing it, often by crying, their mother would leave saying, "I can't stand you. You're causing me to go crazy. I'm going to leave and it is your fault because you cry all the time." My friend learned that expressing her reality resulted in abandonment. There are more subtle emotional versions of abandonment which lead to the same dysfunctional results. I believe the worst experience for children is to have their reality denied. For example, Fred and Cindy have a terrible screaming argument. Fred calls Cindy a bitch. and she picks up a crystal vase and throws it at him. She misses and the vase shatters against the wall. Their 8-year-old daughter Molly, who is awakened by the noise, watches from the door of the living room. In the silence that falls after the last shard of glass from the vase clatters on the floor, she says in a tearful voice, "This is horrible and I'm scared, Daddy. You yelled bad words at Mummy, and Mummy, you broke the good vase you told me to be careful about." Cindy turns to Molly and says, "You're crazy, Molly. Daddy didn't say anything bad to me. There's nothing to be afraid of, and that vase wasn't anything special. If you think that's horrible, then you're wrong. We were just having a normal fight." Then Fred says, "That's right, Molly. Now you stop spying on us and go back to bed. You shouldn't be up this late anyway." And Molly thinks, "I think that was horrible and they're telling me that it's okay. I must be crazy. In my view, this is severe abuse and can make Molly unsure about what her reality in other areas is." As experiences like these are repeated, Molly and Joe lose confidence in their perception and or stop expressing their reality. They are at level A. They know their reality but won't share it. As the abuse continues and becomes more and more extreme and overwhelming, Molly and Joe detach from their reality, especially their feelings. They quit even feeling the fear and the pain in order to protect themselves from being overwhelmed by their feelings. They have moved to level B, beginning to be out of touch with their own reality, because to stay in touch is unbearable. And they continue to repress those and other painful situations as adult codependents. People who operate at level B often exhibit the arrogance and grandiosity mentioned earlier. Extreme cases are often called sociopaths in our culture, but some of them aren't. They simply no longer feel the shame associated with low self-esteem. They are what I call shameless people who have detached from their own emotional reality, especially feelings of shame, in order to survive the overwhelming abuse of their childhood years. Such people are thus set up to offend and victimize others, and it is highly probable that they will do so. How difficulty owning our own reality looks in action. The body. Our physical body is what we look like, attractiveness, body size, grooming standards, and how our body is operating. At level A, I know that when I wear a certain dress, I look nice, but I won't admit it. One day when I'm wearing this dress, you may compliment me on how I look, but even though I think that I do look nice, I deny that I've dressed well today, ignore you, or change the subject, or point out all the flaws in how I look. At level B, I do not have a clear picture of whether I look nice or not in my mind. So when I hear your compliment, I look at myself in the mirror and say, why does that person say that? Emily, a codependent woman who also has an eating disorder called anorexia, weighs 80 pounds and is 5 foot 10 inches tall. She is on the verge of starvation, but when she looks in the mirror, she sees herself as fat. Emily is at level B and doesn't know what she looks like, even when she looks in the mirror. Some time ago, my husband, who is the director of the Meadows, called my office and said, I'm sending a man to your office and I want you to assess him for an eating disorder. He's obese. I said, why do I have to assess him? If he's obese, can't he tell he has an eating disorder? And he said, I can't explain, just assess it, Pia. A few minutes later, a man walked in my office. He was 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighed 265 pounds. I didn't know that he was the man my husband had sent, so I asked him, what can I do for you? He said, you need to assess me. I said, for what? He said, an eating disorder. I then realized that what Pat had done. I said, are you aware that you're obese? What do you mean I'm obese? How much do you think you ought to weigh? I'm fine at 265. I'm robust and hardy. He had no understanding whatsoever that he was obese. He was one of my first experiences of a man who was at level B with his physical reality. He had no idea how large his body was, just as Emily had no concept of how small hers was. This is a very serious issue. Some codependents at level B look in the mirror and cannot focus clearly on their own face. They might think that they look like someone else or truly not be able to see their faces and bodies. I personally shift between level A and level B and am at level B concerning what I look like about half the time. When I'm at level B and I look in the mirror, I see my father's face. I don't see mine. When this happens, I don't know what I really look like, and I hate what I see. But when I do know and can see my own face, I like my appearance. Many of the people I have seen who experienced a symptom at level B have been sexually abused. It's often expressed as the experience of being a floating head with no body. Sometimes this is the very first symptom that makes a therapist aware that the person may be an incest or molestation survivor and have the memory of the incidents buried somewhere in their unconscious mind. Thinking. Our thinking process is how we give meaning to incoming data. Data comes into our minds through our senses. So, everything we see, hear, smell, taste, and feel through our skin is considered incoming data. At level A, I'm aware that I think about a given issue. But I won't tell you if you ask me, and I certainly won't volunteer it. At level B, I don't know what I think, and when you ask me to tell you, my mind goes blank and I get confused and I can't tell you. Jerry and Sylvia are on their way to the movies, and Jerry's college roommate, John. I'll just read that again. Jerry and Sylvia are on the way to the movies with Jerry's college roommate, John. John's strong body odor fills the car with a nauseating stench, but Jerry and Sylvia politely converse with John as they drive. When they get to the theatre, John goes to the men's room. While he is gone, Jerry asks Sylvia, "So, how do you like my old buddy John?" Sylvia thinks, "I don't like him. He stinks. I wish we didn't have to spend the evening with him, and I'll be glad when it's over." But knowing that John and Jerry are old friends, she can't tell her true thinking for fear of hurting Jerry. Instead, she thinks, "Oh, he's great, and I'm glad he could come out with us tonight." And Sylvia is at a level A with her thinking. Feelings. Our feeling reality consists of our emotions. At level A, I'm aware of what emotions are going on inside my body, but when you ask me what I feel, I don't tell. I lie and name a different feeling or deny that I'm having any feelings when I know I am. For instance, when I'm really angry about something someone said but don't want to admit that feeling, I might tell the person I feel sad that you said that, but I'm not, I'm angry. At level B, I am not able to tell you my feelings because I don't experience emotions. Such people will often say I'm numb or nothing happens when I try and feel. This is not healthy and is a very serious symptom of codependence. Behavior. What we've done or not done constitutes our behavioral reality. At level A, I remember my behavior clearly, but when I'm asked about it, I report something else or say I don't remember. For example, it's my job to feed the cats in our house. One night, I forgot to do it, and the next morning, there they were at the back door, meowing and pacing around. My husband walked in and said, "Pia, did you feed the cats last night?" Being at level A and with my behaviour that day, I said, "I can't remember. I think so." Why? I knew this was actually lying, since I did remember I'd forgotten, but I didn't want my husband to know that. Another way to hide what I'd done would have been to give such a complex and vague answer that he couldn't understand what happened. If I had been at level B, I would have no conscious awareness of what I had or had not done. For example, I honestly would not have remembered that I fed the cats or not. As another example of level B behaviour, I got a report at the Meadows one morning that Dave, a patient in treatment, called the night nurse, Rebecca, a bitch. Rebecca had turned in the report as she finished a shift. I forwarded the report to Dave's counsellor, who confronted Dave in the group that morning. He said, "Hey, I got a report you called Rebecca a bitch last night. Did you want to talk about that?" Dave looked amazed and said, "I don't remember that. I don't know what you're talking about." And being at level B, he was sincere. The fact that patients have been operating at level B regarding their behaviour also comes up during family week, when families come to tell the patients what their behaviour has been. It becomes obvious that such patients are deluded and don't even know they have done certain things. They have repressed them or been in a blackout or just cannot acknowledge that this behaviour is part of the problem. These people need observing, need the observing family to come and break them loose from denial and delusion. Operating at level B is a serious problem. So that's some information on reality. It really was when I first got into Codependence Anonymous after getting clean and sober, and I looked at how I was understanding incoming data. And I put up a video yesterday about how to interpret that when it comes in, but just learning bit by bit about this symptom, about level A. I know it, but I can't tell it either. Fear of abandonment, shame stops me being a spontaneous person, or my thinking is just so skewed and I'm so disassociated I don't remember it at all. And like Pia points out every step of the way, when I just don't have that data, it's a really serious symptom. I can't tell you what I need if I can't read the data. I can't set a boundary if I haven't got the data. I can't value myself if I'm not connected. So anyway, that's MOvember, day 7, just a little bit of information on sharing your reality from out of Pia's old book, Facing Codependence, which we use when we run our Breaking Free group on reparenting, from her old book, Breaking Free. And be gentle with your heart. I look forward to connecting again tomorrow and making another video for MOvember. And if you can, please donate to a worthy cause for men's health. Take care.